Again, as a context of what the military can and has achieved recently is the deployment of more than 200 personnel to Western and Eastern Europe when MH17 was shot out of the sky by an SA-11 surface-to-air missile. Right in the middle, as you now all know, a civil war. And of course our people, our more than 50 federal police officers, had to have with them a number of special forces personnel, all of whom were unarmed, in seeking to provide some form of understanding and protection, negotiations, rapport building with both sides of the particular civil argument unfolding in that country. We had something like 17 consecutive NSC meetings dealing with that problem. 298 personnel shot out of the sky, of which 38 were Australian. We have gone a long way to recovering all of the Australian bodies, and I think that is a substantial achievement. But without the Defence Force's capacity to reach in terms of aircraft, to provide an understanding of the intelligence and security situation, in a place that is about 300 kilometres to the west of what was Stalingrad, now Volgograd, and slightly south of Kursk, for those devotees of World War II, where the great tank battles were held. We're in that country. We were right there. This is where this aircraft came out of the sky. And yet we were able to put secure communications, knowledgeable people with an understanding of what was happening in the region, thermal imaging as to where the hotspots were, artillery, rockets, you name it, small arms being fired. We could see and understand all that. For all of the problems and the question marks and the issues that we have in this book, may I say, we haven't done a bad job. We have not done a bad job in providing a pretty sensational capacity for us to go to all manner of places. 4 P-3 Orions flying around in the middle of the Indian Ocean in a turnkey operation when the Prime Minister says, let's go to the east of the Malay Peninsula. It's not there. Let's go to the west of the Malay Peninsula, out to Cocos. It's not there. MH370, I don't know where it is, but we continue to look, and we had 6 ships and 4 planes flying some 300, let me get the exact figure, 345 search sorties, a total of 2,998 hours. A fabulous achievement for us and for our friends who participated. In a way that was so seamless, I was nervous that everybody in the National Security Committee thought that we could just deploy anywhere at any time without any problems. Under the surface of the water there was a massive amount of rapid paddling, let me tell you. We had 200 people deployed to Pierce, overnight virtually, to sustain all of those aircraft. A phenomenal achievement. I don't want to go on much more than to say I'm going to China in 2 weeks' time. A very important visit for Australia. Our relationship, and I had General Chang Long-Fan in my office about a month ago. I got on very well with him. He had 20 other generals with him. We had a delightful evening of Margaret River red wine and other things, which they greatly enjoyed. They were very friendly, very forward-leaning. We will be having an exchange of military operations with the Chinese very, very soon. And accordingly, when I go to China, I am very comfortable and confident that we'll be able to engage them in a very open and friendly way, such that the relationship between Australia and China will be, as I've described, the way that the attachés seek to build and accumulate goodwill and build rapport. And we'll continue that. Turning to another of the articles, and for those of you that are complete devotees of the politics of defence, up on the hill we have at budget time only one place to go, and he's standing just over there. He writes a most magnificent annotation of the defence budget every year. And so when I picked up the book knowing Russell as I did, I went straight to Russell's volume, but then I had to go, forgive me Russell, to Mark Thompson's Funding of Defence. I quite honestly say to you, I do not know what, not just myself, but any person in the Parliament who didn't grow up in defence would do without Mark's annotation of what is happening in the defence budget. And I'm the Minister. I've got to tell you, the budget, our $29 billion, is so complexly dispersed over a whole host of outputs that it takes me all of my time, and I still need to cross-reference from an expert as to where we're going and what we're doing dollar by dollar. So Mark, congratulations for your article. I know that the word aspiration is in there. I used that once in opposition. I think you've picked it up and run with it. But you'll forgive me and I forgive you, because I've taken some of the things, I think an unsustainable mess is my favourite one that I've pinched from you in terms of the budget. So we're both pretty even in terms of pinching each other's bylines. We've got some problems in defence. We have an air warfare destroyer program that ultimately is something we are desperately going to need. The Aegis system from Lockheed Martin firing 48 Mark 41 missiles into the air to protect not just our destroyer fleet but also our landing helicopter dock ships of 28,000 tonnes. A tremendously complex and important program. It's running very, very late and very, very much over budget. And you'll hear a little bit more about that as we seek to remediate that program. And then, of course, we have the very difficult task of submarines. The one thing the government is absolutely determined to do is to avoid a capability gap. So we will be confronting the vulnerabilities of Collins going forward and seeking to get a new submarine up and running as soon as we possibly can. The white paper next year is all about very much strategy, but on a funding foundation that is credible and reliable. Our first principles review will feed into that so that we can refine the way Defence does its business. David Peaver, who was with Rio for many years, has done a fabulous job putting that together and now proceeding to produce the first interim report. But the point about the first principles review is that we are not going to boil the sea. We are simply going to value add and listen to middle management up at Russell as to how we might do things much, much better.